Hello, everyone. This is Six Path Weeb. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today's fanfiction topic is: what if Goku was a girl and created a new legacy? Disclaimer: this content is for entertainment and discussion purposes only. I do not own any of the anime footage used in my videos. All rights and credits go to their respective creators and copyright holders. Let's get started. She walked down the street, feeling the soft breeze brush against her skin as her jet black hair flowed with the wind. Her silver eyes scanned the area, a gentle smile forming as nostalgia filled her heart. It had been a long time since she last visited this part of the world. The World Martial Arts Tournament sure looks different now, she thought, grinning as she took in the changes. What was once a traditional Japanese-style arena had transformed into a modern, fortified structure, its sleek silver design reflecting the sky. The upgrades ensured that it could withstand even the strongest fighter's energy. As she reminisced, she realized just how much time had passed. Years had gone by since her last tournament, and her life had taken many unexpected turns. She had discovered that she was no ordinary Saiyan. Unlike most of her kind, her lifespan seemed far longer, almost as if time itself had little effect on her. It had been centuries since the Universal Tournament, and in that time, she had seen allies grow old and pass on. Her final battle with Vegeta was one of the most intense fights she had ever experienced. The sheer power they unleashed had shaken the very foundations of their universe. The match ended in a draw, and though Vegeta eventually passed on due to age, Goku cherished that final moment with him. He was a warrior who always fought with everything he had, and she respected him deeply for it. Goku often wondered how much longer she would live. If she truly had eternal youth, then the only way she would meet her end would be through an extraordinary battle. But finding an opponent of that caliber was another story. After surpassing Whis' training alongside Vegeta, she continued honing her skills, constantly pushing her limits. She had achieved something once thought impossible, the perfected form of Ultra Instinct. Unlike before, her black hair remained unchanged but became slightly sharper in shape. Her silver eyes gleamed with an unshakable confidence, and her physique had become even more refined. Her aura, a mesmerizing blend of silver, blue, and purple, flickered like a divine flame. But strength alone wasn't enough. Goku had taken the time to develop her intellect as well. She learned to read, write, and even took up new hobbies beyond training. With Earth at peace for centuries, she finally had the opportunity to expand her horizons. Alongside her mental growth, she also mastered various martial arts styles, including judo, karate, and taekwondo, making her a true master of combat. Despite all the changes, one thing remained the same: her belief in second chances. She had always trusted that even the most misguided individuals had the potential for good. It was a philosophy that had defined her, though she knew it wasn't without risk. As she continued walking, she glanced down at her gi. The turquoise top, white obi, dark green pants, and black kung fu shoes symbolized how much she had grown. Yet, despite all her progress, a pang of loneliness crept into her heart. She missed her friends, the laughter, the training sessions, the bonds they had formed. Without them, the world felt different. She clenched her fist. Maybe there's a way. But no, she reminded herself. Time travel was dangerous. Changing the past could create unforeseen consequences. Yet, the longing was too strong to ignore. Closing her eyes, she channeled her energy, letting it envelop her. She focused on a time long gone, a time when everything felt whole. Before she knew it, the world around her distorted, and she felt herself being pulled through time. When she landed, the air felt different. She looked around, her silver eyes widening. Before her stood the home built by the Ox King himself. A nostalgic warmth filled her chest. She had returned to the past. Yet, reality soon set in. If she was here, where was her past self? Time travel was complex, and from her encounters with Trunks, she knew that different timelines could exist. But if she was in this timeline, then where was the younger Goku? Taking a deep breath, she decided to search for her counterpart's energy. Closing her eyes, she extended her senses across the earth. But no matter how far she searched, she found nothing. This is strange. If this is the time when Gohan was still a child, then I should be here somewhere. Unless, her eyes widened. Did I replace my past self? She shook her head, trying to make sense of it all. Time travel always had its complications. But right now, she had a more immediate concern: her family. She decided to head inside to see Chi-Chi. If she was truly back in this time, she had to handle this carefully. Walking up to the wooden door, she opened it with a smile. Chi-Chi. I'm home. Footsteps approached, and soon, her wife appeared, a bright smile lighting up her face. Gohika. Wait. What happened to your hair and eyes? You look different. Gohika chuckled, rubbing the back of her head. Well, Chi-Chi, there's something I need to tell you. She hesitated for a moment before leading her to the couch. Taking a deep breath, she began explaining everything, her Saiyan heritage, her journey, and the power she had attained over the years. Chi-Chi listened intently, her eyes filled with both awe and confusion. So, you're saying you're an alien? But you look completely human. She paused, taking in Gohika's new appearance. Well, I guess the hair does look a bit different, and those eyes. They're really something else. Gohika smiled softly. I know this is a lot to take in, but no matter what, I'm still me. I love you and Gohan more than anything. Chi-Chi's expression softened, and she reached for Gohika's hand. I don't care if you're an alien. I love you, and we have a wonderful son who's going to do great things. Gohika chuckled. Yeah, I bet he will. But you know, I'd love for him to learn how to protect himself too. Before Chi-Chi could respond, Gohika suddenly sensed a familiar presence approaching. Her eyes narrowed. Raditz. So, he's arrived already. She turned back to Chi-Chi, giving her a reassuring smile. I need to take Gohan to Master Roshi's for a bit, okay? Chi-Chi tilted her head. Why so sudden? Gohika gently cupped her cheek, giving her a soft kiss. I just want to make sure everything is safe. Chi-Chi blushed but nodded. All right, but be careful. Gohika grinned, giving her one last look before stepping outside. Taking a deep breath, she took off into the sky, feeling the weight of destiny settling upon her shoulders once more. It was time to find Gohan. Hovering above the ground, Gohika scanned the area for Gohan's energy, sensing the familiar presence and swiftly heading in that direction. As she flew, she noticed that the closer she got to Gohan's location, the more water she encountered. Her memory of this event was unclear, considering everything that had happened in the future. The closer she got, the more questions she had. Why was Gohan here? What was he doing? However, Gohika soon found her answer when she spotted Gohan clinging to the end of a drifting log, being carried away by the rushing water. Realizing the danger her son was in, she wasted no time swooping down as fast as possible. Mommy! Help me, please! The half-Saiyan cried, desperately hoping his mother was nearby to save him. How did he end up in this situation? All he did was chase after a beautiful bird, and before he knew it, he was being carried away by the current, clinging to the log like his life depended on it. Perhaps it did. Panic set in as he looked ahead and saw a steep drop. He was heading straight for a waterfall, and from the looks of it, a massive one. He squeezed his eyes shut, unable to watch what seemed like an inevitable disaster. I wish my mom was here. As if the universe itself had heard his silent plea, Gohan suddenly felt strong arms wrap around him, lifting him from the rushing waters. He opened his eyes to find a pair of silver irises gazing at him with warmth and concern. Without hesitation, he threw his arms around the person who had just saved him. Whoa, hey there, Gohan. Were you scared, little guy? Gohika asked, gently patting his head in reassurance. Gohan sniffled before breaking down into tears, rambling between sobs about a bird, water, and a log. Gohika couldn't help but chuckle at his flustered explanation. It was amusing to see this same child, who she knew would one day become one of Earth's strongest warriors, so overwhelmed by something as simple as a river. It warmed her heart to know he still had the innocence of childhood. Her thoughts were interrupted when she felt a small hand touch her face. Gohan was poking her cheek, his wide eyes filled with curiosity. Mommy, you look different. Why is that? He asked, running his fingers through her silvery, spiked hair. Gohika giggled at his curiosity. I'll explain one day, son. But for now, how about we go visit my old teacher, okay? Gohan brightened at the idea and cheered, prompting Gohika to fly toward Kame House. It was time to share the news with her friends. After landing on a sandy beach surrounded by the ocean, Gohika set Gohan down. He clung to her hand, clearly nervous about meeting new people. Sensing his apprehension, she gave his hand a reassuring squeeze before knocking on the green door. Within seconds, surprised gasps were heard from inside before three familiar figures appeared at the entrance. Hey, Gohika. It's been a while. Krillin greeted enthusiastically. Did you use gel on your hair or something? And no turtle hermit uniform, huh? Guess Yamcha and I are gonna have to handle things alone now, ha. Gohika chuckled sheepishly. I think she looks cool. Bulma added, admiring her friend's new look. She's definitely making a fashion statement. I mean, Just look at her clothes and those eyes. Instead of the usual orange gi, it's turquoise, and way more stylish. And are those contacts? They look amazing. Master Roshi adjusted his sunglasses and nodded. I don't mind the wardrobe change. It's been a long time since you surpassed me. But Go-Hika, who's the child by your side? Go-Hika's expression softened. Oh, right. Everyone, this is my son, Gohan. Go ahead, say hello, kiddo. No need to be shy, they're nice people. Gohan stepped forward hesitantly, his cheeks flushing as he looked down at the sand. Hello, he mumbled. Bulma knelt down, giving him a reassuring pat on the head. Aw, no need to be shy, sweetheart. She then noticed the small red hat he wore, complete with a Dragon Ball on top. Spotting a turtle nearby, Gohan's shyness was quickly replaced with excitement as he ran toward it and began playing. The group smiled at his carefree laughter. So, what's with the new look, Go-Hika? Krillin asked, crossing his arms. I mean, not that it doesn't look cool, but your usual gi and black eyes with less spiky hair are kind of your thing, you know? Go-Hika chuckled. Well, where do I even start? You see, I'm actually an alien from outer space called a Saiyan. My grandpa Gohan found me as a baby in a spaceship. She paused, making sure they were following before continuing. When I was born, my original mission was to wipe out all life on this planet. Because of that, I was an extremely aggressive baby. But one day, Grandpa took me for a walk, and there was an accident. I fell into a deep ravine and hit my head at the bottom. Scions are tough, so I survived, and when I recovered, my entire personality changed. I became a happy, kind-hearted kid, thanks to Grandpa's care. Bulma and Krillin listened intently, fascinated by the story. As for my appearance, well, my body has transformed. This form is called Ultra Instinct. Normally, only divine beings like angels or deities can achieve it, but after extensive training, I managed to master it. It's completely merged with me now, it's who I am. I guess you could say I have a connection to the divine, though I've never really cared about titles. There was a moment of silence before Krillin finally spoke. I guess that explains why Gohan has a tail. But Go-Hika, he hasn't been acting weird under a full moon, has he? You're wondering if he turns into a giant monkey? Go-Hika giggled. No need to worry about that. Shishi insists we get plenty of sleep every night so Gohan can focus on his studies. But I do plan on training him, just a little. He should be able to defend himself if necessary. Bulma nodded approvingly. That's actually a good idea. So, what does the little guy want to be when he grows up? He wants to be a great scholar, Go-Hika said with a thoughtful smile. He takes after Shishi in that regard. She really values his education. Before they could continue, Go-Hika's expression turned serious. Everyone, step back. Someone with immense power is approaching. The group immediately turned toward the sky, and within seconds, a figure in black and brown battle armor landed on the beach. Go-Hika's eyes narrowed at the arrival of the unfamiliar warrior. Sensing his mother's tension, Gohan ran to her side, gripping her arm fearfully. Go-Hika patted his head reassuringly. It's okay, Gohan. Go stand by Bulma, alright? She said gently. Bulma hesitated before taking Gohan's hand and leading him to safety. It's alright, sweetie. Your mom is very strong, she's got this. Gohan looked up at her, uncertain but trusting. Meanwhile, another figure observed the situation from the porch of Kame House. He had been waiting for this moment, curious to see how Go-Hika would handle this unknown warrior. Though she looked different from their last encounter, he wondered if she had truly grown stronger. Krillin scowled at the intruder. Who does this guy think he is, barging in and interrupting a peaceful gathering? If he wasn't going to leave, they were going to have to make him. Okay buddy, I don't know who you are or why you're here, but I think you've had a little too much excitement today. You might be lost, so all I ask is for you to head on out. Alright? I don't want any trouble here. So, go on, Krillin said, waving the stranger away. Raditz merely smirked, pressing a button on his green scouter. He scoffed at Krillin's power level before effortlessly knocking him aside with his tail. Krillin went flying into the front of the house, breaking part of the wooden structure. Okay, Kakarot, enough fooling around. Why haven't you completed your mission? You were supposed to remove all life on this planet. And what's with your hair and eyes? Did the humans do this to you? Unbelievable. You're a disgrace to our race, Kakarot, Raditz said with a frown. I'd rather be a so-called disgrace than become someone who has lost their way. I am proud of who I am because of the people who stand by my side today. Your so-called teammates care about nothing but destruction. They don't even see your true worth. They can't even recognize the potential you have, brother. Join me and protect this planet. Stand for something greater. Whoever is pulling the strings behind all of this, we can stop them together, Gohika declared, making Raditz's eyes widen. Raditz considered Gohika's words for a moment before shaking his head. If Vegeta or even Frieza found out about any betrayal, he would be in serious danger. Even if he wanted to, it just wasn't an option. Not now, not ever. So, he only smirked. As nice as that sounds, Kakarot, I'd rather stick to my own path. Who are you to make offers anyway? Your power level is barely 600. That's nowhere near enough to even compare to mine. So tell me, how would you ever take down the one who rules the universe if you can't even beat me? Raditz said, crossing his arms. Gohika simply giggled. So, I'm guessing you don't need this tail then? If you don't mind, I'll get rid of it for you. In an instant, she burned Raditz's tail to ashes. Raditz's jaw dropped in shock. How had she been fast enough to get behind him, cut his tail off, and destroy it before he even noticed? It was unbelievable. How did you do that? There's no way you could be that fast, Raditz stammered, looking behind him to confirm that his tail was truly gone. Gohika grinned. Hey, it wasn't my fault. You left your guard open for so long that it was bothering me. You should really learn to stay on the defensive, even when you least expect an attack, Gohika said, tilting her head slightly. Raditz. I'm an elite Saiyan warrior, you fool, he snapped, his frustration evident. Gohika simply shrugged. Well, Raditz, my hair and eyes aren't because of anything the people on this planet did. It's part of my own training. I could explain, but this isn't the time. I don't know what you have planned for me, but I won't allow it, Gohika said, stepping into a fighting stance. Raditz shook his head in disappointment. I only wanted you to join us and rule over the universe. Imagine it. Planet after planet bowing at your command. You'd be treated like a legend. Come on, Kakarot, this is your chance, Raditz emphasized, smirking. Only a fool would turn down such an offer. Yet, to his surprise, Gohika shook her head. That's not what I want. I already have something more valuable than power, love, friendship, and joy. That's all I need. Maybe one day, you'll understand, Gohika said, her voice full of conviction. It saddened her that her brother didn't see it yet. Maybe after this battle, he would. Raditz frowned before getting into his stance. He had underestimated Gohika once before. He wouldn't make the same mistake again. Honestly, I thought you were here for the Dragon Balls, Gohika said, her tone laced with sarcasm. You mean to tell me you came all this way just for me? I should feel honored. Raditz's interest was piqued. Dragon Balls? What are these things you speak of? Before he could finish, a powerful strike landed on the top of his head, sending him face first into the sand. He looked up with a stunned expression, his face now covered in grains. Gohika was floating above him, giggling sheepishly. Oops. Sorry, I just couldn't help myself. You left your guard open again. You really need to work on that, brother. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep outmaneuvering you, Gohika teased, wagging a finger at him. Raditz glared at her, frustration boiling inside him. How dare this low-class warrior mock him like this? He growled, clenching his fists in anger. Fine. If she wanted a real fight, she was going to get one. He lunged at Gohika, throwing a flurry of punches and kicks. But she dodged them all effortlessly, matching his every move. Jab, hook, elbow, knee, no matter what he threw at her, she countered it with ease. This only made his fury burn hotter. Impossible. How is she keeping up with me? According to my scouter, her power should be nowhere near mine. There has to be some trick to this. She was born a low-class warrior, her power level was 1 at birth. How did she become so strong? Before he could ponder further, Gohika landed a hard punch to his abdomen, making him gasp as he dropped to one knee, struggling for breath. Give it up. You're no match for me, Raditz. I know that destruction and conquest aren't the only way to live. If you help me protect this planet, we can make a real difference. You'll find your true strength, your real purpose. I promise you, Gohika said, offering a hand to help him up. Raditz hesitated, staring at her hand. For a moment, he felt something strange, hope. Could she really mean that? His eyes widened as she flashed a familiar grin. Maybe. Just maybe, she was right. I swear on the pride that only we Scions can uphold, Gohika declared, her silver eyes locking onto Raditz's dark irises. His breath hitched as he held her gaze, his mind racing with possibilities. The power she displayed was far beyond his own, perhaps even greater than Vegeta's. But could it surpass Frieza's? He wasn't sure. Yet, her words carried a conviction he had never imagined. For the first time, he felt a sense of hope, a way out of Frieza's grasp. He no longer wanted to be a mere pawn. If there was a chance to fight for something greater, to stand for his own beliefs, he would take it. Raditz raised his left arm, removed his scouter, and crushed it in his grip, his silent oath to join Gohika. Gohika grinned at the gesture, placing a firm hand on his shoulder. Looks like you've made your choice. I'm glad you listened to reason. Follow me. With that, she turned toward Kame House, Raditz following closely behind. Kakarot, there's something important I need to tell you, Raditz said. Gohika glanced at him, already suspecting what he meant. Then we'd better discuss it with everyone, she replied as her boots touched the sandy shore in front of Kame House. Unknown location. How much is this one? A cloaked figure asked, pointing at a flyer pinned to the board. His equally cloaked companion raised an eyebrow in surprise. It's hard to say. The reward keeps increasing by the second figure replied, watching his friend smirk at the information. Then we'll take it. This should be an interesting hunt, the first man said, folding the flyer and tucking it into his pocket. His friend nodded. At this rate, the bounty could make us rich. I mean, who would be reckless enough to travel back in time and alter history? The smirk widened. Apparently, this person, someone named Son Gohika from Universe 7, according to the flyer. He unsheathed a gleaming silver sword and held out his palm, sharpening the blade with a swirling black energy. His companion clenched a fist in excitement, a wild grin spreading across his face. They won't even see us coming. The first figure nodded. Let's move. He turned to walk away, but his friend lingered, rolling his eyes. Don't tell me what to do, he muttered under his breath before following. This was their mission, the reason they were known as the Hunters of Time. Their job was simple, track down and eliminate anyone who dared to tamper with history. And this time, the payoff would be huge. Everyone watched anxiously as the two scions approached, their expressions filled with confusion. What just happened? A moment ago, Gohika was battling this man fiercely, yet now they were walking toward them as if nothing had occurred. The only sign of Raditz's struggle was his slight wheezing, a testament to the impact of Gohika's attacks. Gohika's silver eyes held an unreadable message. Was it a silent request for trust in her decision to stand beside this man unguarded? If so, they would have to wait and see what happened next. Hey everyone, Raditz has something to say, so let's listen. You too, Piccolo, come down here. At the mention of that name, everyone turned in surprise. Piccolo stood atop Kame House's roof, arms crossed, his white cape swaying in the wind. Without hesitation, he leapt down, landing in front of the astonished group. He smirked at Gohika, who returned the gesture. How long have you known I was here? He asked. I dunno. How long have you been here? Gohika replied with a smirk. Humph. Since you and your brother started your tiresome pre-battle banter. Gohika chuckled before looking Piccolo straight in the eyes, her silver irises glinting mischievously. Well, that long, I suppose. Now, listen up, this is important. Piccolo said nothing, merely turning to Raditz as he spoke. There are two scions, both more powerful than I am. If my calculations are correct, they will arrive in a year. The weight of his words struck the group. Most clenched their fists in determination, while Gohan merely looked confused. Gohika sighed and turned to the others. Looks like we have training to do. Piccolo, would you consider training Gohan to help him fight the scions? Everyone froze. Gohika. Are you serious? This is Piccolo we're talking about, Krillin shouted in disbelief. Gohika simply smiled. Don't worry. It'll be fine. Gohan has incredible potential. He'll do great. Piccolo scoffed. You really think I, the great Piccolo, would train your child? Maybe you have lost your mind. Gohika smirked. What? Not up for the challenge? Maybe you've gone soft over the years. Piccolo narrowed his eyes. Humph. Fine. I'll train the kid. But don't blame me if he struggles. It'll be on your conscience. He'll handle it just fine. Gohika smiled, unfazed. Before she could say anything more, Bulma pulled her aside. Gohika, are you sure about this? You're trusting Gohan with someone who once wanted to take over the world. Gohika placed a reassuring hand on her friend's shoulder. It'll be okay. If anything goes wrong, I'll step in. But Gohan needs this training. Bulma sighed in resignation as Gohika turned back to the group. All right, everyone, Let's get started. Krillin, can you inform the others about the incoming danger? Sure thing, Krillin said before flying off. Gohika turned to Raditz. You're coming with me, I have a plan for you. Piccolo, you know what to do. And Gohan. She knelt before her son, gently placing a hand on his head. Be brave, okay? No matter what happens, stay strong. I'll see you soon. Raditz placed a hand on Gohika's shoulder as she touched 2 fingers to her forehead. Goodbye, everyone. Work hard. With that, the 2 scions vanished. A round, blue-skinned man stood on his small planet, sensing the immense energy approaching. King Kai stepped outside, waiting as the 2 warriors appeared before him. What are we doing here, Gohika? Raditz asked, surveying the tiny world. The gravity here was much stronger than Earth's, making him feel almost like he was back on planet Vegeta. Gohika smirked, taking in the familiar landscape. We're here to get stronger, strong enough to face the scions coming to Earth. Plus, I wanted to see my old friend. King Kai examined the 2 scions. His hidden eyes scrutinized them carefully. The one with long hair, I could handle him easily. But the other? She's different. Her power is immeasurable. Gohika approached, extending her hand. Come on, King Kai, I don't bite. King Kai hesitated before shaking her hand. The moment their hands touched, his mind was flooded with memories, the battles, training for the Scions, Namek, the transformation into Super Saiyan, even Ultra Instinct. He remembered everything from a timeline that hadn't yet happened. King Kai stumbled, breathing heavily. Gee Gohika. You're. She grinned. I'm back, old friend. King Kai embraced her, overjoyed. Incredible. You're even stronger than before. But tell me. Do you have any good jokes for me? Gohika chuckled as she stepped aside, allowing Raditz to take center stage. King Kai gave him a sharp look. Alright, if you want my training, you must first tell me a good joke. Raditz scoffed. Are you serious? You want me, a Saiyan warrior, to tell a joke? King Kai smirked. If you can't, you have no business training here. Raditz sighed before smirking. Fine. Here's one for you. It's about glasses, want to hear? King Kai nodded expectantly. Never mind. You'd need 4 eyes to see the humor in it. For a moment, silence filled the air. Then, King Kai burst into uncontrollable laughter, rolling on the ground. Even Gohika chuckled. Alright. That was good. You pass. Now, let's begin your training. Raditz nodded, but Gohika stepped forward. Before we start, we need to change your clothes. That armor is too bulky. Raditz frowned. What? My Saiyan armor is. Gohika held up a hand. No arguments. You'll get it back after training. In a flash, Raditz's outfit changed to a brown version of Gohika's gi, complete with wrist and ankle weights. Raditz immediately collapsed under the added weight. What the? Gohika smirked. Welcome to training, Raditz. Training with weighted gear. These weights absorb energy. As you use your ki, it transfers into them, making them heavier. So, the more power you use, the more resistance you'll experience, Gohika explained. Every 2 weeks, we'll remove the weights for a sparring match. This will help us adjust to our increased speed and strength. Otherwise, our eyes and reflexes wouldn't keep up with our movements, which could be a problem in a real fight. Raditz nodded at the logic, though he found it difficult to stand under the added pressure. Breathing heavily, he struggled to balance himself. Gohika smiled in approval, acknowledging the effort it took just to stand. Alright, while wearing those, I want you to run 50 laps around this planet. I have something to take care of, but I'll check in on you later, Gohika said. King Kai observed as Raditz began his struggle to move forward. The training was intense, but if Raditz kept up with it, he would close the strength gap faster than expected. See you later. Gohika gave a friendly wave before teleporting back to Earth. Capsule Corporation. Gohika appeared in Bulma's laboratory, finding her deep in concentration. She had changed her hairstyle again, this time sporting a long ponytail. Wiping sweat from her forehead, she continued tinkering with a small device. A vial of green liquid sat nearby on her workbench. Hey, Bulma. Gohika greeted cheerfully. Bulma let out a startled yelp before turning and lightly hitting Gohika's arm. That's not funny. I was focused. If this exploded, you'd be responsible for wrecking my lab and my hair. Gohika chuckled. You've been working hard, huh? Maybe you could use a little distraction. Bulma sighed, setting down her tools. I suppose. But wait, how did you even get in here? My security monitors didn't pick you up. Gohika shrugged. I can teleport, remember? I learned it a while back. You saw me do it at Master Roshi's place. Bulma raised an eyebrow, recalling that moment. So, if I wanted to go shopping, you could just pop us in and out instantly? She snapped her fingers for emphasis. Gohika laughed. I mean, I could, but wouldn't that be a bit of a waste? I don't want to be your personal teleporting taxi. Bulma pouted, making Gohika grin. Then an idea sparked in her mind. Actually, if you tell me what you're working on, maybe I'll consider it. Bulma giggled. All right, fine. I know you have a huge appetite, and I also know that senzu beans help with that. I'm working on a way to infuse food with senzu extract, so meals can be just as effective without relying on whole beans. It would make things easier for Chi-Chi, too. Gohika smiled. You never stop amazing me, Bulma. Bulma grinned playfully. Well, I am a genius, after all. I get it from my dad, you know. Gohika chuckled again. No matter where you are, you'd still be brilliant. Bulma felt a warmth rise in her cheeks at the compliment. That's sweet, Gohika, she thought, though she quickly dismissed the feeling. Well, I'd better get back to work. Thanks for visiting. Gohika nodded and teleported away. Rocky Mountains. Gohika appeared behind a familiar cloaked figure. Piccolo stood with his arms folded, watching a determined young Gohan. How's he doing? Gohika asked. Piccolo huffed. He's soft. Can't believe he's your kid. They watched as Gohan attempted to climb a tree for an apple, only to slip and land on the ground. He sniffled but quickly stood back up, dusting himself off. He'll get there, Gohika said. He's still young, but he's got heart. And who better to help toughen him up than you? Piccolo glanced at her but didn't argue. Why are you here, anyway? He asked. Just checking in, Gohika said. Keep up the good work. One day, he might even give you a challenge. Piccolo smirked. We'll see about that. Before he could say anything else, Gohika had already vanished. King Kai's planet. Returning to King Kai's planet, Gohika saw Raditz still pushing through his laps, sweat dripping from his face. King Kai chuckled. Surprisingly, he's made it to 36 laps. He's working hard. Gohika watched with a satisfied smile. Yeah, he'll do just fine. She materialized her own weights and began her training as well. 1 year later. Over the past year, everyone had made incredible progress. Gohan became more confident, even managing to spar evenly with Piccolo. Krillin, Yamcha, and Tien trained harder than ever, overcoming their doubts. Gohika personally distributed key dampening weights to them, ensuring their growth. She also made sure to balance training with visiting her loved ones, checking on Bulma, helping Chi-Chi at home, and keeping Gohan motivated. Now, with the Scions arriving in just 3 days, it was time for the final test. All right, Raditz, Gohika said, standing before him. We're removing the weights. Today, we spar. The next 2 days, we rest. Raditz nodded as Gohika dematerialized his weights, though she kept hers on for extra challenge. Ready? She asked. Always, Raditz smirked. Gohika motioned for him to attack. Raditz lunged forward, charging a purple energy blast. He launched it, but Gohika sidestepped, catching the punch hidden behind it. Raditz followed with a kick, but Gohika flipped over him, countering with a light tap to his forehead that sent him stumbling back. Despite his clear improvement, Gohika still had the upper hand. But she saw something deeper in the way Raditz moved, hesitation. When she extended her hand to help him up, he flinched slightly. A realization struck her. Raditz, you're not weak because of your power level, you're weak because you hold yourself back. Raditz hesitated. It's not that simple. I've always been surrounded by people stronger than me. How am I supposed to fight against someone like Vegeta? He's a prince, an elite. Before he could finish, Gohika gently tapped his forehead, interrupting him. Strength isn't just about power, she said. It's about pushing forward even when you're afraid. Courage isn't about never feeling fear, it's about not letting it stop you. Raditz took a deep breath, absorbing her words. For the first time, he stood up on his own, determination flickering in his eyes. Gohika smiled. That's more like it. With the Scion's arrival drawing closer, the real test was about to begin. Don't say something like that ever again. I may have started as a low-class warrior with barely any power, but now I could flick Vegeta away effortlessly. And you're telling me you can't fight because you've made peace with it? Think again. A Saiyan never gives up. You have to believe in yourself, dig deep, and let go of your doubts. No one else can push you forward, you have to do it yourself. Let me help you reach your full potential. I'll heal you, and then we'll train together. Show me that Saiyan spirit. Go-Hika extended her hand once more. Raditz looked at it in silence. He could turn away, disappear into the distance, and never look back. Or he could stand up, face his challenges, and reclaim his strength. The choice was difficult, but deep down, he knew what he had to do. It was time to rise. Raditz grasped the offered hand and pulled himself to his feet, brushing dust off his brown gi. He smirked. You better be ready, Kakarot, because this time, I won't go down so easily. Go-Hika grinned, her hands glowing softly with blue energy as she placed them on Raditz's shoulder, healing him. Says the only one here who actually got hurt, she teased, laughing as the two took their battle stances, ready to train. 2 days later. A pair of ships crashed onto Earth's surface, their sleek exteriors gleaming under the sun. As the pods opened, 2 figures stepped out, their boots pressing into the ground. One short, one tall, they exchanged knowing smirks. Let's go, Nappa. It was time for their arrival. Dear YouTube viewers. I've experimented with something new this time. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, I'd love to hear your feedback. Thank you for your support. Best regards. 6 Path Weeb.